Men more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony. Those words are a cold reminder that people strike not where you are strong, but where you are blind. You walk into a meeting, a dinner, or even scroll through your phone, and the battlefield is already set. Manipulators wait in silence, hiding daggers inside smiles and agreements. They are not obvious enemies charging the gates. They are infiltrators who move as friends, colleagues, or even mentors, and they thrive when you dismiss the danger. The familiar trap is ordinary conversation. Someone compliments you, then slips in a doubt. A co-worker agrees with your idea, then repeats it later as their own. A partner frames guilt as love, twisting obligation into control. These are not accidents. They are subtle tactics that strip your defenses one piece at a time. If you accept every word at face value, you surrender before you realize the war has even begun. Guard your attention the way a king guards the keys to his throne. History proves this is no new threat. Courts of power were never won by brute strength alone, but by the manipulator who bent alliances, spread rumors, and turned rivals against each other. The fall of rulers often came not from swords at the gates, but from whispers in their halls. You are not living in Florence of the 15th century, but the principle has not changed. Manipulation decides who rises and who kneels. The lesson is simple. If kings and generals could be undone by deception, you are not exempt. High stakes are always present. One misread move can enslave your future. Think of a negotiation where you show too much eagerness and the other side locks you into a losing deal. Imagine trusting the wrong person with private information, only to see it turned into a weapon against you. Once your blind spot is exposed, you are no longer a sovereign. You are prey. There is no mercy in this game. To survive, you must see every interaction as a strategy. When someone tries to provoke you, do not react. A calm, steady reply turns their trap into silence. Example, if accused unfairly, do not defend frantically. Instead, hold eye contact and answer with composure. I see it differently. That alone shifts the balance of power. The mantra is clear: see clearly or be cut down. Your mind is the throne. If it is captured, every decision, every reaction, every judgment is no longer yours. Manipulators know this. They do not need to shout, threaten, or even raise a hand. They need only to slip past your guard and occupy the seat of your thoughts. From that moment, you are no longer sovereign, you are a subject. The first principle of survival is therefore simple. Guard the throne room. Awareness is your shield. If you drift through life on autopilot, you will not notice the subtle shift in tone, the carefully chosen words, the emotional bait that pulls you where you did not intend to go. History is full of examples. Kings who let advisors whisper unchecked lost kingdoms, not through open war but through influence. Generals who trusted the wrong ally saw armies collapse before battles began. The lesson is eternal. If you do not protect your mind, you invite occupation. The poisoned whisper is the oldest tactic of infiltration. In modern life, it arrives as propaganda, gossip, or suggestion. You hear it in the way headlines are framed to provoke outrage, in the way gossip spreads through offices to distort reputations, in the way advertising manipulates fear or insecurity to sell you identity in a product. These are not accidents. They are designed to bypass your defenses and pull you into battles that are not your own. Consider how a rumor in a workplace can isolate someone overnight, not because of the truth, but because people repeated what was whispered without questioning it. The manipulator thrives not on strength, but on your lack of vigilance. Do not swallow words untested. Weigh every claim. Train yourself to pause before reacting, because reaction without reflection is surrender. To build a mental citadel, you must harden clarity into armor. Clarity is not born from passivity but from deliberate practice. Learn to slow the pace of your thoughts so no one else sets the rhythm for you. Train yourself to detect emotional hooks. Urgency, flattery, fear, each is a weapon meant to pull you off balance. When someone presses you for an instant decision, claim time. When someone flatters you, assume a hidden cost. When someone spreads fear, step back until you see who benefits. Imagine yourself as a fortress commander. No message enters the gates without inspection. No request passes through without testing. The citadel is not isolation but discipline. A simple moment of disagreement proves the strength of your throne. If a colleague insists that your idea is unrealistic, do not rush to justify or argue. Hold still. Let silence do the work. Then reply with calm precision. I see it differently, and here is why. No raised voice. No defensive scramble. By doing so, you keep the throne intact, while forcing the other to reveal whether their position is genuine or manipulative. The command is direct. Defend awareness. Question whispers. Build clarity. If you lose the throne of your mind, nothing else matters. If you hold it, no manipulator can rule you. Your mind is your kingdom. Guard it without mercy. It is better to be impetuous than cautious, because fortune is a woman, and it is necessary, if you wish to master her, to conquer her by force. Machiavelli's warning cuts directly into how you must treat the first hours of your day. Morning is the battlefield where your strength is either forged or surrendered. If you stumble into it unarmed, manipulators find you exposed. If you march into it with discipline, you carry the shield that deflects their strikes before they are even thrown. The ritual of soldiers has always been simple. Order first, chaos later. Armies did not rise at noon. They rose with the sun, sharpened weapons, and prepared formations before battle arrived. Your life is no different. A disciplined morning repels the invasion of disorder. When you set rituals, whether exercise, reading, writing, or simply controlled breathing, you build formation in your mind. The routine itself is not about perfection. It is about sovereignty. You send a message to yourself and to the world. The throne is occupied. Without it, manipulators see the cracks. If you are late, scattered, or unfocused, you broadcast weakness and opportunists seize it. Guard your first hours as soldiers guarded their camp. The digital ambush is the modern equivalent of arrows fired in the dark. When you reach for your phone before your feet touch the ground, you surrender to someone else's agenda. News headlines, marketing campaigns, social feeds, each one a crafted whisper designed to trigger emotion and bend your attention. You begin your day already under siege, reacting instead of commanding. Do not allow it. Delay the screen. Conquer silence first. Control your breath. Control your posture. Control your first thoughts. Weak. I wake up and check what's happening. Strong. I wake up and decide what will happen. That single shift keeps the throne of your mind from being captured before dawn has even fully broken. Dawn must be your war cry. Do not simply wake, rise, step into the morning as if onto a battlefield with offensive intent. When you treat the first hour as sacred, you set the tone for all hours that follow. A commander who begins the march with hesitation invites collapse. A commander who begins with strength instills fear in opponents before swords clash. Create a ritual that declares war on passivity. Stand tall, make your bed. Speak aloud a single line that sets direction. Even a whisper said with conviction can be a war cry. Imagine a colleague trying to pull you into a petty argument early in the day. If you have stumbled from bed and lost the rhythm of your morning, you will likely bite the bait, waste energy, and feel drained before noon. But if you have already fought your private battle at dawn, the trap falls flat. You answer with calm steel. This can wait until later. Right now I'm focused. You end the skirmish before it begins, not by aggression but by clarity. That is the strength of a fortified morning. Discipline first, screen second, intention always. March into the day like a soldier rising for war. Do not wait for life to ambush you. Begin with command, and manipulators will see quickly that you are not prey. Win the morning, and you win the war. Stillness is not weakness. It is the sharpest blade you can carry into any encounter. Manipulators thrive on noise, reaction, and restless energy because distraction is the fog in which they move unseen. When you master stillness, you force clarity into the room, and in that clarity, their schemes stand naked. The assassin's patience has always been the mark of great rulers. History shows that the most decisive victories were not always won by speed, but by restraint. Leaders who waited for their enemies to reveal desperation struck with precision, while those who lunged at every provocation wasted their strength and exposed themselves. To hold still when provoked is to command the timing of the battle. By resisting the urge to strike too early, you conserve force, and you watch the opponent bleed information through their movements. A manipulator cannot thrive in front of someone who refuses to be rushed. Modern noise is their weapon. You see it in meetings where someone talks endlessly, not to inform but to dominate attention. You see it in arguments where the manipulator floods you with words, forcing you to defend point after point, until exhaustion weakens your resolve. You see it on social platforms, where endless chatter is designed to provoke a click, a reaction, a surrender of focus. They rely on your need to fill silence, to answer quickly, to prove yourself in the moment. Break this pattern. Let silence expand. Let their words hang in the air without rushing to fill the gap. The longer they speak, the more their intentions leak out. Cold eyes and a quiet mind disarm predators. Imagine being accused of something untrue in front of others. The manipulator expects you to defend yourself loudly, to flail and prove innocence, because that makes you look guilty. Instead, you hold still, meet their gaze, and speak with deliberate calm. That's not accurate, and I'll clarify directly. No scramble, no panic. The quiet response robs them of the chaos they wanted to create. Your silence before you spoke forced everyone else to notice the imbalance. The manipulator revealed themselves through aggression, while you revealed control through stillness. This discipline requires practice. In every conversation, test your ability to pause before responding. In every argument, train yourself to breathe before speaking. Weak. That's not true. You're twisting it. Strong. That's incorrect, and I'll address it clearly. The difference is not just words, it is sovereignty. Do not mistake stillness for passivity. It is an active command of space and time. It is the art of forcing your opponent to overextend while you remain untouched. Like the predator who watches from the shadows, you do not waste energy until the strike is certain, and when the moment comes, you move with precision no manipulator can predict. Hold the throne of your mind, cut through noise, and weaponize silence. Stillness is the sword. Men more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony. Machiavelli's words cut to the truth. Loyalty is fragile, and interests shift faster than vows. The ally who swears devotion today may turn tomorrow when gain demands it. Protecting yourself means seeing clearly that loyalty has limits. To tolerate manipulators in your circle is to allow spies in your camp. Each one you excuse, each one you keep close out of comfort, is a dagger waiting to be drawn against you. Ruthless elimination is not cruelty, it is survival. History is filled with leaders who ignored this rule and paid the price. Rulers who failed to cut off ambitious courtiers lost their thrones. Generals who spared untrustworthy allies found betrayal at the decisive moment. The lesson is not to live in paranoia, but to recognize that human loyalty is tied to self-interest, not sentiment. When someone shows through pattern that their interest is no longer aligned with yours, act with finality. Do not wait for the open strike. Cut them out before the cost is irreversible. A king who hesitates to purge disloyalty invites the crown to be ripped from his head. In modern life, the parasites are not cloaked in royal robes, but their effect is the same. They are the friend who drains your energy with endless crises, leaving you weaker while they feed on your attention. They are the boss who guilts you into extra labor by disguising exploitation as loyalty to the company. They are the partner who twists love into chains, making every decision about obligation rather than respect. These are not harmless flaws. They are tactics that erode your sovereignty if you justify them. If you cling to them because of history or comfort, you are keeping poison in your blood. Recognize the pattern. Energy lost to manipulation is energy you will never use to build your throne. The scorched earth rule is clear. When you see the rot, burn it out completely. Do not half measure. Do not keep doors half open, hoping they will change. Manipulators rarely abandon tactics that work. If you allow them back, they return sharper and more concealed. Imagine you are a commander with traitors in your ranks. You would not negotiate with them once exposed. You would remove them before the next battle. Apply the same principle, remove ruthlessly, or be consumed slowly. One moment of calm elimination proves the strength of your will. If a friend constantly undermines your progress with disguised jokes, you do not argue or plead. You confront once with clarity. That pattern doesn't work for me anymore. If it continues, you withdraw fully. No screaming, no long justification. You leave scorched earth behind, so there is no ground left for manipulation to regrow. The command is simple: stop feeding parasites, stop tolerating poison, stop excusing disloyalty. Protecting yourself demands elimination with finality. Comfort will tempt you to hesitate, but hesitation is how manipulators survive. Cut once, cut clean, and never look back. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Machiavelli's warning was not about cruelty, but about presence. A ruler who appeared weak lost control before battle even began. Manipulators exploit the unguarded face in the same way. They read hesitation, they sense insecurity, they strike where emotion leaks through expression. To protect yourself, you must wear the mask of command, composed, unreadable, sovereign. The mask is not deception. It is armor. The king's face was always part of the throne. In courts where enemies surrounded rulers on all sides, appearance mattered as much as armies. A monarch who looked shaken lost authority even if his soldiers still obeyed. A monarch who held calm command through storms secured obedience even in crisis. The lesson is direct. Your face, your posture, your silence, these are not minor details, they are signals of power. When you let every feeling spill out, manipulators see maps to your weaknesses. Guard your expression like a castle gate. Keep composure even when struck. If rulers learned this centuries ago, you can master it now. In the modern world, the poker table reveals the same truth. Players who reveal emotion lose their wealth to sharper opponents. Negotiators who flinch at an offer invite exploitation. Colleagues who show desperation in meetings see their ideas dismissed, not because they were wrong, but because they appeared uncertain. The mask of command is not about hiding forever. It is about choosing what to reveal, when to reveal it, and on whose terms. Weak. I really need this opportunity. Strong, here is what I bring to the table. The first reveals vulnerability to be used against you. The second frames strength, even if circumstances are challenging. Learn to shift your language so it reflects authority instead of need. The untouchable mask goes beyond words. It is the fortress of silence. When you remain calm under provocation, manipulators lose ground. Imagine a colleague making a cutting remark in front of others to lower your stature. If you react defensively, they win. If you meet their eyes and allow silence to stretch before you respond, the room turns against them. Then you speak, slowly and without raised volume. That was unnecessary. The effect is devastating. Their weapon collapses because your mask absorbed the blow and returned clarity. The mask of command is not dishonesty. It is the disciplined control of what you project, so no predator can feed on your unguarded moments. Behind it, you still feel, still think, still choose, but you decide how the world sees you, not the other way around. That decision makes you untouchable. Hold your face steady, master your voice, and use silence as your fortress. The manipulator cannot pierce a mask they cannot read. Command begins with the face you wear. It is better to be impetuous than cautious, because fortune is a woman, and it is necessary, if you wish to master her, to conquer her by force. Machiavelli's insight speaks directly to hesitation. Delay is the weakness manipulators feed on. Inside you lies the assassin, the blade that cuts through illusions and indecision. If you fail to awaken it, hesitation becomes the crack through which betrayal enters. History offers a brutal example. Julius Caesar, surrounded by supposed allies, ignored warnings and chose delay over decisive elimination. The Senate chamber became his tomb because he allowed hesitation to blind him to the daggers gathering in silence. Loyalty shifted, as it always does when ambition outweighs allegiance. The lesson is eternal. Those who hesitate before cutting disloyalty open the door to their own downfall. You may not face senators with knives, but you face colleagues, acquaintances, and rivals who exploit your reluctance to act. In modern life, hesitation takes quieter forms, but the cost is the same. You delay a decision, and someone else decides for you. You postpone boundaries, and manipulators step deeper into your space. Paralysis in making hard choices invites control. Think of the manager who avoids addressing a toxic employee, only to see morale collapse. Think of the friend who refuses to cut ties with someone who drains them, only to watch their energy stolen year after year. Each moment of indecision is a throne left unguarded. Manipulators thrive when you cannot say no, when you cannot end what must be ended, when you surrender to the hope that problems will solve themselves. They never do. The assassin within is not cruel. It is cold and decisive. It is the refusal to let hesitation hand your power to others. To wield it, you must train yourself to strike with clarity when the moment calls. Weak. Maybe I'll think about it. Strong. This no longer works for me. Weak. I guess I can try to manage it. Strong. I've decided to move in a different direction. These are not small shifts. They are executions of power, endings of illusions. You do not need to be harsh. You need to be final. Imagine a disagreement at work where someone repeatedly undermines your contribution. The hesitant mind would stew in silence or explode later in frustration. The inner assassin responds differently. Calmly, directly, without hesitation. I expect acknowledgement when my work is used. No raised voice, no apology, a clean strike that leaves no opening for manipulation. The assassin does not waste energy on drawn-out battles. One precise cut and the matter is closed. To protect yourself from manipulators, you must carry this weapon at all times. Do not let hesitation keep your blade sheathed. Act with clarity, eliminate with finality, and protect the throne of your mind and life. Hesitation kills, decisiveness rules. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Machiavelli understood that weakness invites chains, while strength commands freedom. Manipulators prey on softness the way predators hunt stragglers. If you carry the spirit of a sheep, you will be herded. If you carry the spirit of a wolf, you will not be touched. Feeding the wolf within you is not about cruelty, it is about cultivating inner aggression that protects your sovereignty. History is a graveyard of the weak. Those who stood without strength became pawns in the games of others. Small states that lacked armies were carved apart by larger powers. Leaders who tried to please everyone were crushed by those willing to be feared. In every age, the pattern repeats. Predators consume the passive, while only the strong remain sovereign. You cannot wipe this law. You can only choose whether to live on the throne or in the cage. Machiavelli's world, like yours, offered no mercy to sheep. Modern cowardice appears in polished form, but the result is the same. Salesmen exploit your reluctance to say no. Leaders exploit your fear of conflict to pile burdens on you. Lovers exploit your hunger for validation to bend you into obedience. Each time you stay silent to keep the peace, you sharpen their claws. Each time you avoid confrontation, you surrender ground. Weak. It's fine. I'll manage. Strong. That doesn't work for me. Weak. I don't want to cause problems. Strong. This needs to change. Manipulators look for hesitation, softness, and eagerness to please. When they find it, they take everything they can. The moment you stand firm, their power shrinks. To feed the wolf is to build rituals that sharpen your predator instinct. Train decisiveness by practicing daily refusals. Say no to distractions, no to wasted time, no to demands that do not serve your priorities. Train presence by holding eye contact without flinching, teaching your body to project calm dominance. Train resilience by doing one difficult task each day without negotiation, proving to yourself that you can act against resistance. These acts are not small. They are the meals that strengthen the wolf inside you. Each one makes you less appetizing to manipulators. Picture a colleague trying to pressure you into taking on their responsibilities. A sheep hesitates, mumbles excuses, and eventually accepts. A wolf listens, waits, then replies without anger and without apology. That's your responsibility, not mine. The conversation ends there. The wolf does not argue. The wolf ends illusions with finality. The command is simple: starve the sheep, feed the wolf. Do not wait for manipulators to show mercy, because they never will. Strength is the only language they respect, and sovereignty belongs only to those who claim it. Be the wolf, and you cannot be prey. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. The line strikes like the opening move of a master's game. On the chessboard of life, manipulators play not with knights and pawns, but with your emotions. They seek to control the tempo, sacrifice pieces to lure you, and blind you to the larger pattern. To survive, you must see the board in its entirety. You must understand alliances, betrayals, and traps, not as random acts, but as calculated moves. History shows that royal courts functioned exactly like a chess match. Alliances were pawns moved forward to create openings. Betrayals were sudden sacrifices designed to topple stronger opponents. Marriages, treaties, and councils were not simple bonds of trust. They were positions on the board, each one maneuvered to capture or protect power. A ruler who focused only on the next move was destroyed by those thinking 3 moves ahead. Kings who forgot the nature of the game lost crowns to rivals who understood it better. You are not a monarch in a palace, but the principle remains. If you cannot read the board, you will always be played. In modern life, the chessboard is the workplace, the negotiation table, the network of subtle politics around you. Corporate decisions often mirror gambits, where one side sacrifices profit in one quarter to dominate in the next. Leaders deliberately concede small points in meetings to appear cooperative while advancing their deeper agenda unnoticed. Even in daily conversations, manipulators play with tone and timing, shaping the narrative while you defend a single square. Consider how a colleague might agree with your idea publicly, then quietly take credit with leadership later. They did not argue, they maneuvered. If you only look at the square in front of you, you will not see the trap developing across the board. To counter, you must train yourself to think several moves ahead. Ask not only what someone says, but why they say it now. Notice not only the immediate gain, but the longer pattern of behavior. If someone consistently pressures you to act quickly, consider whether speed itself is their weapon. If someone flatters you before making requests, examine the true cost before agreeing. Thinking ahead transforms you from a reactive pawn into a sovereign player. Weak. They're probably just being nice. Strong. What do they gain if I accept this? Weak. It's only a small favor. Strong. What precedent will this set if I agree? The difference is foresight, and foresight is the only true defense. Imagine a disagreement in negotiation. The manipulator offers a seemingly generous concession. The manipulator offers a seemingly generous concession. The inexperienced player accepts immediately, feeling they've won, but the strategist pauses, studies the board, and says with calm precision, "I'll consider it, but I want clarity on the long-term terms." That pause forces hidden costs into the open. The manipulator hoped you would seize the pawn. Instead, you guarded the king. The chessboard of life cannot be escaped. You are already on it, whether you acknowledge it or not. Your task is not to avoid the game, but to master it. Train your perception to see patterns, anticipate sacrifices, and guard against emotional traps. Do not react to every move. Evaluate the entire board before acting. In chess, the untrained mind sees the last move. The sovereign mind sees the end game. Remember this rule. Every conversation, every alliance, every agreement is a piece in motion. Read the game, not just the piece. See the board, and you cannot be played. It is better to be impetuous than cautious, because fortune is a woman, and it is necessary if you wish to master her, to conquer her by force. Machiavelli's reminder cuts into the truth of willpower. Fortune bends to those who act with strength, not those who drift in hesitation. Manipulators exploit the weak-willed because they know a mind without discipline is a throne without guards. To resist them, you must forge an iron will hardened through ritual, unbending under pressure. The Spartans understood this. Discipline was not a luxury in their society, it was survival. From youth, they trained to endure hunger, cold, and hardship. Their enemies did not fear numbers alone, but the unbreakable resolve of soldiers who had been tempered like steel. For them, weakness was not simply failure, it was death. The lesson is eternal. Those who live without ritual, who cannot hold to discipline under pressure, are easily bent. A manipulator needs only to find the soft seam in your will, and with the slightest pressure, they push you into obedience. A disciplined mind, like a Spartan shield wall, does not crack under the first strike. Modern seductions are less obvious, but equally destructive. Phones pull your attention at dawn. Convenience lulls you into dependency. Addictions dress themselves as comfort while binding you in chains. Every unexamined habit that steals your focus is a tool manipulators can use against you. They do not need to plant ideas when your own distractions keep you too weak to resist. A tired, overstimulated, unfocused mind is easy prey. The one who controls their attention controls their sovereignty. Weak. I can't help it. I just get distracted. Strong. I choose what enters my mind. Weak. I'll try to stop. Strong. I no longer allow this. Language shapes will. The words you use must be weapons, not excuses. Forging steel requires daily self-tests. Do one hard task without negotiation. Delay gratification when every impulse wants the opposite. Sit in silence when distraction tempts you to escape. These are not minor acts. They are training strikes that sharpen your inner blade. Each time you choose discipline over indulgence, you hammer your will into shape. The manipulator watches, probing for cracks, and finds none. They grow frustrated, because where others break at flattery or fear, you hold the line. Imagine a disagreement at work. A superior pressures you to take on a project outside your scope, leveraging urgency and guilt. The weak-willed fold, offering excuses but finally agreeing. The iron-willed do not flinch. With a steady tone and unbroken posture, you answer, "That's not within my responsibilities, and I will focus on my priorities." No apology, no hesitation. The exchange ends there. The strength of ritualized willpower makes manipulation impossible. The command is clear: build rituals that forge steel, starve seductions that weaken resolve, and live with the spine of iron that no influence can bend. Your sovereignty rests not on chance but on the discipline you practice daily. An iron will cannot be ruled. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Machiavelli's truth is that fear, or rather unshakable presence, creates a shield no manipulator can penetrate. The highest protection is not constant defense, but becoming untouchable, so fortified in composure and sovereignty that attempts to sway you collapse before they begin. Manipulators thrive on access. Deny them that, and they retreat. History offers examples of figures who became untouchable. Leaders like Marcus Aurelius carried themselves with such inner command that slander and intrigue could not unseat them. Their strength was not loud aggression, but calm presence, a throne so guarded by discipline that rivals found no purchase. Others who lacked this quality fell quickly. Those who showed cracks, who reacted to every insult or whisper, found themselves manipulated into ruin. The record is clear: those who built untouchable presence endured, those who remained porous were devoured. In the modern world, this truth remains. Rare icons withstand smear campaigns and attempts at character assassination, not because they silence critics, but because they project a steadiness no storm can shake. Public figures who remain calm under attack often see their influence increase, while those who lash out impulsively only confirm the manipulator's narrative. Even outside the public eye, in offices and communities, you see this law. The person who stays centered when accused unfairly gains quiet respect, while the one who erupts loses ground instantly. Untouchable presence is not arrogance. It is the refusal to let manipulators dictate your rhythm. Your untouchable throne is an archetype you must build. Imagine yourself as a fortress. Cold stone walls, high gates, no crack for intruders to slip through. You practice silence until provocation no longer shakes you. You practice boundaries until demands fall flat against them. You practice composure until your presence alone signals strength. Weak. Please understand my side. Strong. This is where I stand. Weak. I don't want conflict. Strong. This matter is closed. Language sharpens the wall of your fortress. Each decisive word adds another layer of stone. Consider a disagreement where someone tries to bait you into defending your worth. A manipulator says, "You're overestimating yourself." The untouchable response is not rage or justification. It is calm, steady, "I know my value," nothing more. That line ends the exchange because it offers no crack to exploit. The manipulator expected a reaction. Instead, they found a wall. The throne is untouchable and the enemy retreats. Becoming untouchable is the culmination of all previous defenses. You have guarded your mind, commanded your mornings, weaponized stillness, eliminated poison, worn the mask, awakened the assassin, fed the wolf, mastered the chessboard, and forged iron will. The result is a presence that cannot be manipulated, a sovereignty that no tactic can pierce. The untouchable ruler does not chase validation. The untouchable ruler does not flinch at whispers. The untouchable ruler sits on a throne of stone, while lesser players exhaust themselves trying to storm it. The command is absolute. Build your fortress, hold your throne, and let manipulators waste themselves against walls they cannot breach. Be untouchable, and no one can rule you. It is better to be feared than loved. If you cannot be both, the words strike like a blade on the table, demanding your attention. Fear in this sense is not terror. It is presence, the unshakable command that makes manipulators step back before they even strike. The path to becoming immune to manipulation is not built in fragments. It is forged in the convergence of every weapon you have trained. The throne of the mind, the battlefield of mornings, the silence that cuts, the mask of command, the inner assassin, the wolf within, the chessboard vision, the iron will, and the untouchable presence. When these elements unite, you become sovereign. The sovereign who cannot be manipulated carries all weapons drawn. Stillness allows you to see what others miss. Discipline makes your actions unbending under pressure. Coldness shields you from flattery and guilt. Ritual sets the rhythm of your days so no one else dictates them. Prediction keeps you ahead of every move on the board. History is clear. Leaders who mastered themselves wielded power others could not seize. They were not perfect, but they were feared because they were difficult to read, difficult to move, and impossible to own. Machiavelli's rulers survived not by charm but by fusing strategy with command. You must do the same. The throne or the chains, this is the choice before you. If you do not sit on your own throne, you will kneel to someone else's. Manipulators thrive on those who wait for permission, who let external voices define their direction. In modern life, this looks like the boss who loads endless work on you because you cannot say no, the partner who twists guilt into control because you fear conflict, the system that feeds you distractions until you no longer resist. Either you rule yourself or you are ruled endlessly. There is no middle ground. Sovereignty does not tolerate half measures. Think of the micro moments where this choice appears. Someone asks you to accept terms that diminish your value. Weak. I guess that's fine. Strong. That doesn't work for me. Someone provokes you to defend yourself loudly. Weak. You don't understand. Let me explain. Strong. That's inaccurate, and I won't carry it further. Manipulators exploit hesitation, but they collapse in the face of clarity. The throne demands that you answer from strength, not from need. The immortal archetype is the vision of what you can become when all principles converge. You are no longer scrambling in defense, no longer explaining, no longer pulled by every whisper. You sit cold and sovereign, like stone carved into form. Manipulators approach, probe, and retreat, because there is nothing to grab. Lies bounce off the wall of your composure. Smear campaigns dissolve because your presence speaks louder than accusation. You move like the predator who wastes no energy, striking only when certain. You think like the grandmaster, 3 moves ahead of every scheme. You live with iron discipline that bends to no temptation. This is not fantasy. It is the logical outcome of consistent practice. Imagine a confrontation designed to corner you. Colleagues spread rumors, expecting you to panic, defend, and beg for image repair. Instead, you remain still. You let silence stretch, and when you speak, you say, "I know who I am, and I know what I've built." Nothing more. Their plan crumbles because it relied on your weakness, and weakness never appeared. That moment is the embodiment of convergence. Every weapon fused into one posture of command. Do not mistake this form for cold isolation. The sovereign, who cannot be manipulated, still forms alliances, still shows respect, still inspires loyalty, but these bonds are chosen freely, not under duress, not out of fear, not in hope of validation. You engage from strength, not dependence, and because you cannot be swayed by pressure, the loyalty you attract is real, not purchased or coerced. Manipulators cannot thrive in such an environment. They suffocate in the air of sovereignty. The path is demanding, but the reward is unmatched. Each principle you have trained was a weapon. Alone, each protected you in moments. Together, they make you untouchable. Stillness without will is passivity. Will without strategy is recklessness. Strategy without presence is manipulation, waiting to succeed. But the convergence makes you whole. A sovereign armed with every defense, every offense, every tool needed to remain unruled. You are at the threshold. Choose the throne or the chains. You already know what happens. If you remain soft, distracted, and hesitant, manipulators will feed on you until nothing remains. But if you hold still, mask your face, feed the wolf, awaken the assassin, and guard your throne, you rise into a figure no one can bend. This is the true Machiavellian strategy, not cruelty, not deceit, but the mastery that ensures no one writes your story but you. The command is absolute. Fuse every principle. Sit upon your throne. Become sovereign of your own presence. All weapons drawn, no chains accepted. Every battle you have studied leads to this moment. You know now that manipulation is not always loud. It is often silent, subtle, hidden in the rhythm of ordinary life. A single misread can enslave you for years. That is the final warning. If you misjudge the smile hiding a dagger, if you trust the whisper that bends truth, you become prey forever. Manipulators count on your blindness, on your eagerness to believe appearances, on your reluctance to guard your throne. They do not need strength when you offer your own willingly. One error is all it takes to hand them the crown of your decisions. Yet the final reward is just as real. With mastery, you are untouchable in any room. History shows that rulers who held composure, discipline, and foresight commanded respect that outlived slander and betrayal. Their sovereignty rested not on endless defenses, but on unshakable presence. They projected strength so clearly that enemies thought twice before plotting against them. In your life, the same principle applies. When you enter a negotiation, a meeting, or a relationship with guarded awareness and calm precision, manipulators retreat before they even begin. They recognize that your mind is fortified, your silence is sharp, and your will cannot be bent. That is the reward. The peace of knowing you cannot be ruled by hidden hands. Now the marching orders are clear. Sit upon the throne of self-protection, or kneel to manipulators. There is no middle ground. If you drift, you are led. If you hesitate, you are trapped. If you excuse poison, you drink it willingly. But if you hold the throne with cold vigilance, you become sovereign, Build rituals that strengthen your will. Guard your words so they cannot be twisted. Cut ties that drain your strength. Train your presence until it is unreadable. Project clarity until lies dissolve in its light. These actions are not suggestions, they are commands. The throne will not guard itself. Imagine a manipulator pressing you to act against your interest. Weak. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll think about it. Strong. That doesn't work for me. Weak. I don't want to upset anyone. Strong. This boundary is firm. The sovereign does not explain endlessly. The sovereign declares. When you adopt this posture, you rise beyond prey into command. This is the final vision. You stand sovereign, unbent, beyond reach. The daggers of manipulation clang against your armor and fall. The whispers of deceit dissolve in your silence. You do not chase control, you embody it. And when others see that, they know the throne is occupied. See clearly, rule coldly.